Welcome back to the Fitness League, helping busy humans build strong bodies, sharper minds, and better lives. Join us each week as we cut through the noise, challenge the norms, and empower you to train smarter and live stronger. Nicole asks, I'm trying to find a balance among macros, HIIT, and strength, but I have a home gym. I'm not seeing results as much, even though I am more than 1 year postpartum. We are going to be diving into this and the rest of your questions in today's Q&A episode.
I love it. Just for more context, for those listening, she did go on to say, I do track macros and I'm compliant 90% of the time, lift 4 days per week. Currently, she's doing Joelle's Muscle Mommy and just going to be introducing HIIT on the Peloton, hopefully 3 days per week. Any suggestions on finding the balance and kickstarting momentum and progress? I probably only have 5 to 10 pounds to lose, but I really want to gain muscle and look and feel like a strong mama. Well, Joelle, you can share your thoughts first, and then
I'm actually really trying to find the comment because I want to read it in front of my own eyeballs, and I'm scrolling and scrolling.
If you go to newest first, it's the newest one. So she probably commented last. I guess I'll start then. You're a year postpartum, so you're in a great place to focus on these things first of all. Like I would assume a lot of the things that we go through in the earlier postpartum days, just like the big life transition, lots of just increased stress. Maybe your sleep is very, very off. Like hopefully all of those things have started to solidify for you. You feel like you're in a good routine. It sounds like you're doing, the baseline things pretty well. But I would say if you're struggling to see progress, there's probably some missing gaps here. And while we don't have all of the information based on what you've told us, I would assume that, and these are just common things that we've seen from clients over the years, postpartum aside, you may not be lifting at the right intensity. So you may be able to push weights a little bit more if you notice strength is not increasing. You said you're just starting HIIT, so I would give that some time to kind of kick in, for lack of a better term. But as far as the nutrition side, if you're tracking macros and you're compliant 90% of the time, which is pretty good, I would just kind of check in with that. Like if you're not seeing progress on those macros, you're probably not consuming the right macros for fat loss progress or the progress that you want to see. So if it isn't an adherence issue, it's just that those numbers are not in a deficit for you. But maybe you can dial things in a little bit more there too. So there's a lot of missing information that we need, but those would be my first couple of things that I would check in with if you were my client.
Yeah, I would echo most of that. A few things that pop up for me, as you mentioned, having a home gym. How much weight do you have in that home gym? How much are you progressing? Are you stronger than the weights and equipment that you currently have access to? If so, that means potentially getting a gym membership or adding more weights and equipment to your home would give you a little bit more versatility and bump up the intensity. Obviously, you're doing great programming already, so we don't have to worry about that. But like Alessandra said, we don't know where your macros and your calories are. You mentioned being pretty compliant, which is great, but compliant to what? To deficit calories, to maintenance calories. And then the last thing that I wanted to touch on was that she mentioned trying to find balance and so on, not seeing results. I'm not seeing results. What's your evidence of that? What's your proof of that? Are you talking strictly scale? Because I guarantee you're over a year postpartum. I guarantee you don't look like what you look like when you had a baby if you're doing what you're doing right now. I guarantee you don't look the same as you did a year ago. So for you to say, I'm not seeing results in terms of what? Are you getting stronger? Are your clothes fitting differently? Are you seeing more muscle on your frame? Have you lost some weight from when you had a baby? So I think also we have to think about the metric of progress and what progress actually means to us, to figure out where we could potentially fill some gaps. But I mean, it sounds like what you're doing is great. So
yeah, you want to gain muscle. You said you have 5 to 10 pounds to lose. Two simplest components: are you eating enough protein, and are you actually pushing the RPE to the right intensity? Because if you're crushing it in the gym, even if body composition wasn't changing, which it would, you're going to notice improvement in strength and you're going to start seeing muscle improvements.
I posted on the Levolution Coaching Instagram last week a comparison of me lifting at an RPE of 6 and an RPE of 8. And it was very, very helpful for a lot of people to see. So I will post more of those. But if you want to go look at that, that is one great visual to kind of assess if you're actually lifting at an RPE of 8, which is where most of Muscle Mommy, I think, is RPE 8 or 9. Joelle, I know Build is too. So just go look at that. And if you're not doing that yourself and making the faces I was making, and you can see the struggle when I'm at an RPE of 8 versus the 6, I'm kind of just like, yeah, it gets a little challenging at the end, but there's a clear difference. So that's, I mean, I would guarantee 98% of you listening can probably push weight more. So
Absolutely.
all right, Ashley said, oh, well, she doesn't have a question, but she said she wanted to let us know that we're awesome. She said she's been part of the app for a year and a half. She's slowly building up strength postpartum. She's never stuck with a program this long and this consistently. She just had a postpartum PR in her back squat last night, and she just wanted to say thank you. So we love that so much.
We have something for you, Ashley, on the way.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley, thank you for sharing that with us. We all have shit-eating grins across our face when we read that stuff.
Lisa said, how do you track weight on a landmine movement? How much weight does the bar add in that position plus plates added? So Joelle, this month in Muscle Mommy, if I remember correctly, you programmed landmine, what was it?
Single leg RDLs and maybe a landmine press too, like maybe a landmine shoulder press.
Yeah, shoulder press.
And a landmine RDL. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter. You could either, the bar obviously is 45 pounds. I understand you're saying like with the bar in that position when it's technically not the full bar. You could just count the plates if you want. It doesn't really matter how decide to add it up as long as you're being consistent with how you track it. So if you're adding 2 10-pound weights to the bar and doing, 65 pounds total because the bar 45 and then 2 10-pound plates, 20 pounds, you could track that as 65. You could track that as 20. It doesn't matter as long as you know how you're tracking it and then you know what weight you need to beat or do next week.
Letitia said, I know you guys do daily walks with your kiddos, but what do you do if they don't want to go? My toddler recently hates the stroller and wants nothing to do with our daily walk. What are your tips? We'll stop there first. We drag their ass outside.
Just what Josh was going to say. Josh was about to say, they don't have a choice. What do you mean?
But to be honest, our kids both really do, like, they'd rather be outside than inside. I usually have to, like, force them to come inside. Cora's at the point, she's a year, 21 months. She does the walks now. So she'll walk about half mile, a little bit over half a mile on her own. Is it slower? Yes, but we still let her walk. Our morning walk, she'll sit in the stroller because it's like immediately after she wakes up and she's like still sleepy. And we have to get Kai to school on time. So we'll put her in the stroller for that. And she's usually fine. She's still waking up. But other than that, she like wants to walk. So we just go and we let her walk with us. I don't know if it's different for you, Joelle, but I think you said the same thing. Like Reese wants to be out of the stroller now too.
Yeah, it's funny. We haven't done like a stroller walk in a while because eventually Sloan didn't want to sit in the stroller anymore. Really, like she's old enough to walk. Like she's going to be 4 in a few months. Like she's old enough to walk it and she wants to walk it. The kind of problem with that was like, okay, Sloan can kind of keep up, could not keep up. This was a few months ago. She's like, we kind of still want to have like Reese in the stroller, but then Sloan not in the stroller. But then Reese sees that Sloan doesn't have to sit in the stroller. So then neither of them want to sit in the stroller. So we have been for several months now just walking with them both. But I will say there was a day over the weekend that like the sun came out for like a whole 5 minutes and Brant and I were like, let's go on a walk, but like see if we can actually get both of them in a stroller and walk. And I just bribed them with snacks and then they were fine with it. Both of them at first, like, I want to walk. Like, I know, but we're going to go on like a long family walk and your legs are going to get a little too tired. We'll do another walk to the park later and you'll get to walk, but we're going to do a stroller walk. So everyone pick your favorite snack. And they're like, oh, okay. And then once they were bribed with the snack, they were fine. But we don't really regularly do stroller walks anymore because they're both walking, but bribing with snacks would be my tip.
Any input, Josh? Okay. Part 2, she said, additionally, is there a difference in regard to your health between getting your steps in naturally versus going for a designated daily walk? I know there's other benefits to getting outside and walking, but some days it feels like more of a fight. So I guess just like steps casually around the house versus like a set, this is when I'm walking for X amount of minutes.
No, as long as your steps are at the adequate level, like as steps per steps, like it doesn't matter if you're walking outside. Now, yes, there are benefits for circadian rhythm and getting outside, getting some vitamin D and just reducing stress. But if we're just talking apples to apples, No, you don't have to. If you're getting 10,000 steps walking around the office and home and whatever, and you're inside and it's not my 15-minute walk after breakfast, no, doesn't matter.
Amanda said, I like to strength train 3 times per week and run twice per week on different days than the strength training due to time constraints. The only 3-day program is Move, which I'm really enjoying. But if I wanted to try another program, but only do 3 out of the 5 or 4 days of it, is it still effective, or should I just continue with Move every month?
We got something for you too, Amanda. Coming soon.
For now, I will say, I mean, if you're confident in kind of switching up, like if you did Build, for example, or Muscle Mommy, that's 4 days per week, you can kind of make that third day like a Mod Podge of the other 2 days, and like take a couple of exercises from the lower body day, take a couple from the upper body day, and do it on your own. If you're confident in that, that's fine. Just stick with the same movements and progress throughout the month the same way, or just continue with Move for now and be a little patient for what we've got
I
coming.
would say though, like, let's stick with the 3-day program and then write like a 1-day fun day. Like, I want to do all these things, accessory work if it's something that you want to get better at, a specific body part, but like something you enjoy. So you're training 3 days a week, and then that fourth would be something you're really looking forward to. But yeah, just make sure you're hitting the 3-day program so it is balanced, and then the additional accessory work is something that you plug in when you have the time, but it's not going to be a deal breaker in regards to the program. Hey guys, real quick. If you've been listening and thinking, I need to start doing something for my health, but I don't have time for a full program, that is literally why we built the SDE Method app. It's a fitness app made for real people with real lives. Busy parents, working professionals, anyone juggling 100 things. You can get in, get a smart, effective workout in around 30 minutes, some even closer to 20 minutes, and log out knowing you made progress. You can finally take the guessing out of your workouts. We have workouts designed to be done at the gym or at home, and you get access to all of them when you sign up. As life phases change, you can pick a new one that aligns better with what you have going on right now. And one more thing, we are also qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. So just hit the app link in the show notes, start where you are, we'll help with the rest. All right, let's get back to the show.
Allison asked, differences and benefits of strength versus hypertrophy training.
You're getting strength from hypertrophy training, specifically like strength training in regards to like powerlifting. It can be a bit less volume, and you're focusing on prioritizing moving the number up on whatever bar it is that you're lifting. Hypertrophy specific is probably going to be beneficial for the masses, more beneficial for the masses, just because you're focusing on improving body composition with a bit more volume. Not to say that there aren't different levels to both sides of that. They can certainly be completely intertwined. But you are getting the aesthetic benefit with the performance benefit when we're talking about hypertrophy.
Bree said, if there are 2 ways to progress in a movement, such as more of a deficit and going up in weight, which way would be more beneficial? So for example, goblet deficit split squat in May's build program, I can either go up in weight or I can add plates for more of a deficit, but I can't do both. Doesn't matter. They're both, in my opinion, progressive overload. Like they're both. That is a great question. You don't have to do both. Like pick one and focus on, like if you did an increased weight last week and you can't really go up in weight again this week, you can increase the deficit, and that's another way. That's another form of progress. Both are forms of progress is my answer.
Yeah, I don't think I have a preference as to which first. Either would both be great progressions.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you're hitting optimal ROM to begin with. If you're coming up a little short, then start with optimizing range of motion in any movement, not just the deficits. But like, let's say you got a mobility issue with a back squat, and each week you're able to move a little bit deeper with the same weight. Still progress.
Okay, Samantha said, if you take classes such as yoga or Pilates in addition to the app, do you drop a day using the app 4 times per week or try to push training in total to 5 times per week?
Preference.
Yeah, depends on your schedule, depends on how you're recovering, what you want to do. It's not that one is better than the other. It's just a matter of what works best for you.
And Pilates might be a little different, but yoga would probably be considered active recovery in most instances.
Unless it's like a intense hot yoga or like something power yoga. It depends. But yeah, do what feels best at the end of the day. All right. Emily said, my 18-year-old sister was recently diagnosed with PCOS. She also struggles with IBS and anxiety. It seems like the 3 are related, and her focus should be stress management. My mom is working with her and her doctors to decide what treatment looks like. They're looking at a holistic and medicinal approach at this time and not sure which route to go. How can I best support my sister during this time and also ensure she's making an educated decision? Love that.
Love that. Love that you want to support her. Yeah, you're spot on with the stress management piece being really crucial when we have, as like icky as hormonal imbalance sounds, like that is part of PCOS. So let's call it what it is for this instance. Hormonal imbalances like the ones that we would typically see with PCOS often contribute obviously to those higher levels of stress, and then that can kind of exacerbate symptoms. I love that you guys are wanting to take a more like holistic approach. I think from a holistic sense, I mean, probably what is going to happen is like she's going to see a doctor, they're going to recommend birth control, and that will work in the traditional sense of getting rid of some of her symptoms, because if we take birth control, we shut down ovulation, we shut down hormone production, and then we're not going to have those symptoms that we're getting because of the quote hormone imbalances. From a lifestyle perspective and dietary changes perspective, which is always going to be my kind of like first plan of attack, reducing ultra processed foods as much as we can, kind of going the more nutrient density route, fiber rich vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats. Making sure that we are trying to regulate blood sugar as much as possible. That can help manage PCOS symptoms as well. If we're not already exercising, including some regular exercise, especially strength training, especially moderate cardio, can really help with that insulin sensitivity piece, potentially even a weight management piece, and even the mental health piece of it there. Stress management, again, mindfulness. Josh, you're the meditation, mindfulness.
We're going to visualize our healing process as we close our eyes and follow our breath.
Yeah, I mean, I have learned a lot about PCOS over the years. It is very much a stress-induced condition. And so that being said, it is definitely reversible in the sense that we can reverse symptoms. And PCOS is it's an umbrella term for a set of symptoms. So if we no longer have those symptoms, we no longer have PCOS. So we want to do what we can to help regulate the menstrual cycle as much as possible and bring hormones back into a more appropriate range. Typically testosterone and DHEA are like our higher androgens. We want to bring those down. Them being high is usually a result of stress. So again, regular exercise can be really helpful. Making some dietary changes can be really helpful. Personally, I did not choose to go the route of birth control. I understand that that is a possible treatment. Typically, birth control or metformin are going to be the most commonly prescribed for managing PCOS. There are a few supplements you could try looking into. Berberine could be helpful. Inositol could be helpful potentially. There's not a super one size fits all way to do this. So it's great that your mom and her doctors are kind of exploring both approaches.
Isn't it funny though how our one size fits all answer for just about everything is to manage stress, get more sleep, work out, resistance, and cardio. Manage stress, if I didn't say that already. Eat nutrient dense foods.
Yep.
Weird.
Yep.
The L5
Go figure.
method, I think it's called.
Yeah. And the last thing that I will mention is there's a big interplay between gut and hormone health. So when you mention IBS and PCOS, I'm like, yep, because there's a gut hormone interplay. So dietary changes can be really helpful with that.
Katie said, how do you know if you're actually doing an exercise correctly? Factors like everyone has a different range of motion. Is the form right? And while you may look like you're doing it correctly, how do you know if it's targeting or quote unquote activating the right muscle group? Or are you just effing it all up? You're not effing it all up. I'll say it's probably unlikely that that's what's happening. Go ahead. This was a great question.
This is a great question. I also wouldn't be overly concerned about the term activating, like activating the right muscle group. Like if you're using the muscle and you're not falling over in your chair, like you are activating your muscles. I know we hear that a lot, specifically with glutes. Like, oh, I just can't activate my glutes. I'm like, if you can literally sit in a chair or walk, you are activating your glutes. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. It is definitely true that form might differ. I would say specifically if we're talking about something like a squat, what Alessandra's squat looks like versus what my squat looks like look very different because we have different limb lengths and torso lengths. And so even like Brant and I do this comparison too. Like my husband is almost a foot taller than me and our hips hit at the same level. Like our legs are the same length because I have super long legs. He's got a super long torso. And our squats look very different because of those limb length differences and torso length differences. So that's a really great example of like, you might see a squat and be like, oh, I thought like that squat form doesn't look good, but like that's the squat form that's appropriate for that person with their anatomical makeup. Something like a bicep curl or a shoulder press, like their form's going to be pretty standard on something like that. So I would keep that in mind. I know you said like, how do you know if you're actually doing it correctly? For instance, in the app, we have, exercise demo videos in there that you could always look at what those demos look like. You could YouTube another video to see, proper form of XYZ exercise. And if you really want to know how, to do something or get feedback semi in real time, you could always work with one of our training coaches and you could send them form and technique videos and they will adjust based on what you're sending over and give you tips and tricks for how to adjust the squat or the deadlift or so on.
That was honestly, even as somebody who I didn't have a coach for like the first half of my fitness journey, but once I started powerlifting, I went to a powerlifting gym and had a powerlifting coach. And even as more of an advanced athlete and somebody who was lifting regularly for a while, he was able to help me so much with just squat form and just deadlift form and like little things that like I just wasn't able to pick up on. So I will say, like, even if you're at the point where you feel like you don't need a coach, I'm team like everybody could always benefit from a coach. Biased maybe, but like that's just my point of view. Okay. Amanda said, my question is about high RPE in lifts such as squats or deadlifts. I feel like I could lift heavier with my legs, but my back and my core feel like they can't, and form then compromises. Is that when you incorporate a lifting belt for assistance, or does that count as going to failure when my legs still feel like there's more in there? A good question too.
Team lifting belt.
It's a great question.
So the caveat with the lifting belt, like, is the lifting belt going to help you lift heavier? Yes. It's not going to put 100 pounds on your back squat at the same time. So you do want to still be training back. Like if back and core are your weak points, you should be focusing on those a little bit extra, maybe not in that lift, but in other areas. I guess it kind of depends too, like what your goals are. Like, is your goal to progress your squats and deadlifts and power lift? Then yeah, you're going to want to strengthen those and like get everything else stronger. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I would just say it's very similar to anything where your grip is compromised, like use the wrist wraps and then train your grip afterwards. If you are working a muscle group and you're not able to push it to the correct RPE because something is a limiting factor, then alleviate that limiting factor, push to actual RPE, and then do additional volume in those other areas. Otherwise, you're kind of selling yourself short on the good stuff. You're getting a lot out of the squats and deadlifts, so get a lot out of the squats and deadlifts. Cecilia
said, how do you get yourself to be hungry if you rarely feel hungry? I feel like this is such a Joelle question. Maybe not.
Crying inside.
She went on to say she's 3.5 months postpartum. Oh, so right near me. And breastfeeding. She is losing weight quickly despite eating at maintenance, which she's doing to just make sure she keeps her supply up and fuel her workouts. She just never really feels hungry. Her T3 and T4 are also low, so maybe that's an issue. But she said, could not eating enough for my workout / milk supply be making my metabolism slow down or affect my appetite? I want to be hungry enough to make muscle gains.
Well, if you're losing weight quickly, you're not at maintenance, you're in a deficit. So your caloric needs are up because you're breastfeeding.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just vastly underestimate how much they really need while breastfeeding. Like it's obviously going to be different. Like for me, like I can maintain my milk supply on like 2200 calories right now, which is pretty low. Like that's my normal maintenance, and my milk supply is fine. I'm progressing in the gym. I do have a ton of muscle on my frame, so I'm not sure if that's why, but we've had clients eat well above 3000 calories just to maintain milk supply and the level of training that they're at. So it is such an individual thing, but I agree with Josh. Like if you're losing weight quickly, we got to eat some more food. That would be step one. I'm not sure about the T3 and T4 aspect. Joelle, do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, I mean, it is possible that there's a thyroid related issue. I've struggled pretty much with hunger since I had Reese 2 years ago, and like my thyroid looks fine. So I don't want to necessarily jump to that immediately. I think stress is likely a piece of it. I had a very similar experience where I dropped weight postpartum very easily and very quickly, even being in like the 2500 calorie range. And it got to a point where I was like, I can't eat this much. I can't keep up with it. And I eventually didn't have the hunger to be able to keep up with it. And I think sleep and stress played a big role in that. It's a little better now for me, but I'm 2 years out, not 3.5 months out. Definitely want to make sure that calories are up to help with milk supply. And like Josh said, if you're losing weight, then you are in a deficit. You're not really at maintenance, but I know that that can sound overwhelming because you're like, but I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat more.
Is that why you switched to the sugar diet, Joelle?
Yeah, I'm doing the sugar diet now to help with my poor satiety or poor hunger. Oh, what was I going to say? I just lost my train of thought. That's okay. I was going to say, and we touched on this a little bit in the last episode, but for me in this type of situation, not that I ever want to promote eating ultra processed foods and less nutrient dense foods, but for me, I got to a point where I was like, I am going to need to include some really highly palatable foods in my diet in order to just hit calories at this point. And so that was like having a little bit more sweets than usual, eating out or like ordering in a little bit more than usual because like spinach and salmon was not sounding, necessarily very palatable to me, but something like ordering in chicken parm heroes might sound more palatable. And I think I could get the calories in if I have something like that. So again, I'm not saying start eating like an a-hole, but if you need to get calories up, sometimes you do, or sometimes you may need to allow yourself to have more of those highly palatable, less nutrient dense, high caloric foods just to kind of get the calories in.
I have been so not enjoying salmon for a long time, but we threw them on a salad last week. I don't know why that was significantly better. So that's been the go-to.
See, I can't do that.
That salmon was just better. It was the salmon.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Not feeling.
Was it wild or was it?
It was
always wild.
Yeah.
Wild over here.
Wild can get dry on you real quick.
Yeah, I didn't realize how short it takes to cook. Like my mom was telling me, like, was it 5 or 10 minutes at 500?
Yeah.
We were doing like 15, 20. So it was dry.
We got a new air fryer and we put the wild salmon in it. And I guess our old air fryer she was struggling and she did eventually give out. And that's why we got a new one. But we put it in the new one. This thing was like fried to a crisp. And it's like, I only put it in for 15 minutes. I was like, this is inedible.
Oh my gosh.
I just get skeeved out. Like, I don't want to undercook the fish.
It's a thinner piece of fish and it's less fatty than like an Atlantic piece of salmon.
I
Which
just
is way more
I hate when it has the bones in it, though. That's what really irks me. But
I do get the ick if I have to pull a bone out of my mouth. I'm like, okay, yep, meal ruined.
Yep.
Like when you get a piece of chicken, when you get like a vein or like something gross in your chicken, and you're like, yep, I'm done. I get the ick so quick from chicken.
Sorry for anybody listening who's like in the first trimester of pregnancy and already grossed out from protein.
I swear some of my like pregnancy aversions didn't go away.
Really? Like what?
Yeah. There's some of them are just like, I could look at ground turkey and barf. And that's
I always look at ground turkey and barf. It's always gross. Anyway, all right. Amanda said, when lifting, should reps be done until form breaks or until I physically cannot do another?
Depends on the lift.
Depends on the lift.
Squat when form breaks, and then again we want to address that ideally. If it's a bicep curl, the last couple sets, throw some cheat reps. Yeah, partials, cheat reps, swing it up and slow it down.
I feel like a lot of people are so scared of form not being perfect that it's holding you back in a lot of other areas. Like, yeah, you want form to come first most of the time, but there's going to be times where like you're swinging the weights a little bit on those bicep curls just to get the last few reps in. And I don't know. I think
it's better than stopping short for sure.
Yeah, definitely depends though. Okay. Jenna said, what magnesium do you take for sleep? Do you take it while breastfeeding? And if so, have you noticed any impact with breastfeeding? Example, affecting baby's wake windows or sleep, digestion, etc. No noticeable impacts for me. I've taken it for like the last 10 years. Did you take it while breastfeeding?
Yep.
Yeah.
Pregnant breastfeeding.
Yep. I cycle between glycinate and what is
carbonate.
Is it carbonate? Oh. Earlier postpartum, citrate. That's what it is. Earlier postpartum, I like the calm citrate one just because I need the digestive help a little more, but typically glycinate any other time for me. But that's supposedly the best one for sleep, right, Josh?
Yeah, I actually don't love. I used to love Calm, but since switching to the glycinate, like noticeable difference. Glycinate being better.
Yep.
And she said, "Oh, go ahead."
I was just gonna say that she had another part of her question about the trolling.
Yeah, we haven't done a trolling episode since that one episode, and I know you guys did like it, so maybe we
I don't think
should.
anybody submitted topics for it.
Did we ask? We
I
did.
think so.
Did we?
Is that
Maybe.
how we left it off? If you guys like it, give us some things.
Well,
and
it was
we'll
wait. It wasn't it a trolling the trolls? Like we were trolling the
Yeah.
people who were trolling us.
Yeah.
I mean, Alessandra, you're the one that gets like the viral videos that probably have the trolls. I don't really go viral.
I haven't had any significant ones lately. My current viral video is Cora's Taylor Swift video that literally hit 1 million views yesterday.
If you want to troll that little girl, I will eat you.
There's no trolls. It's all the Swifties
Didn't
found
someone
us.
troll Josh?
They trolled Josh and said Josh looks like Travis Kelce. They weren't trolling him. They said, "You're lucky you have a husband that looks like Travis Kelce."
Travis Kelce looks like me.
Well, anyway, my point was there's no trolls on that video because everybody loves Cora, which was really sweet. But maybe we'll post some.
I mean, our whole last episode was just trolling the sugar diet. So
That's true. Well, if you guys
Maybe-
have anything you want us to troll, let us know. We need your input there. Chrissy said, "Why is Joelle always doing it tired? Is she ever not tired? Tell us, Joelle. Are you ever not tired?"
for the record, she said, "Kidding, of course." Thanks for the motivation and inspiration, Joelle. Why is Joelle always tired? Is she ever not tired? The answer to that is no, I'm never not tired. And why am I always tired, you ask? It's because I have 2 children and 3 businesses. And they're over here like, well, Alessandra and Josh aren't tired. And they have
Tired.
3
Look, we're
babies
not.
and 3 businesses.
We're tired,
You're like-
but we don't wake up and whisper to our phones in
You-
the morning. I guess we're trolling Joelle.
just
This
don't-
is
yeah.
the Joelle
This is the
trolling episode.
Joelle episode. No, I am not chronically tired, I would say. But I feel like it's just it became the thing that I was sharing of like it was my way to say like do it anyway. Like do it tired, do it scared, do it anxious, do it whatever. Just like do it and get it done because you're always going to feel something sometime. And if you let that stop you, like you're never going to get anything done. So that's just what do it tired became for me. I feel like it doesn't always mean that I'm inherently tired. It's just like, hey, I'm here, I'm showing up, I'm doing it anyway. So for me, that's what it's turned into. But maybe I need to clarify that because everyone just thinks I'm very, very tired.
What's this chick talking about? She's always fucking tired.
Like, I thought she eats well and takes care of
I guess it's
herself,
not
but she's
working.
always tired.
Oh man. All right. Ellie said Joelle recently talked on her stories about how people chase their dream physique through dieting. If you're someone who has yo-yo dieted and or is inconsistent with strength training, where do you recommend is the best place to start getting more consistent? Focus on weights first, then introduce the nutrition, or vice versa?
Why do we have to choose?
Mm.
Why do we have to choose weights or nutrition? So I would say I'm going to come back to the yo-yo dieting piece and say if we are trying to get more consistent with weights and we don't necessarily have a significant amount of weight to lose, I would just aim to be consistent with your nutrition. I don't think it has to be like, let me start weight training and let me start hardcore dieting. If we haven't been consistent with either, that's where I'm like, okay, I understand. Like, let's pick one to start getting consistent with. But I don't think that you need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to your nutrition. I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. If the goal is to get more consistent with strength training, great. Go download the SDE app. Go pick a program in there. You could take the quiz that tells you which program to do. If you want 4 days a week, 3 days a week, 5 days a week, whatever it is, I would start on the smaller side, lower frequency side for what it's worth. And then on the nutrition side, cool, I'm going to shoot for this amount of protein and I'm going to shoot for a color at every meal and, you know, try to land somewhere in the 2,000 calorie range or whatever it is. And maybe you just start tracking macros around maintenance calories, or maybe you're just tracking fiber and protein and letting carbs and fats fall where they may, or whatever it is. I don't think it needs to be this big overhaul of like, well, if I'm inconsistent with strength training and I'm a yo-yo dieter, what should I do? Go to the foundations and the basics of nutrition. Protein, color, carb with every meal. Pick a strength training program that you could stick to and do it. Or maybe not a strength training program, just movement. It could be yoga, Orange Theory Fitness, whatever it is. But pick low barrier, what feels like low barrier for you, and do that. But I don't think it has to be one or the other. I think if we're overwhelmed by doing both, then we're overcomplicating both. So how can we simplify into 3 days a week of movement, protein and color with every meal? Done.
I think that's the thing. Like, people want to change everything at once all the time. Like, it's like, let me overhaul my entire lifestyle to start focusing and be consistent. But it's really, it shouldn't be like that. And it shouldn't be like that if you want to see progress now and in the long term. So great reminder that it doesn't have to be this huge lifestyle overhaul in a matter of hours. All right, Allison said, is it true that it's better to hit a muscle group over 2 or 3 workouts versus all in one to reduce fatigue? How many times per week is optimal for muscle growth?
Couple days per week, and that's really helping you. They talk about junk volume, but it's really about optimizing each set, and you're also optimizing muscle protein synthesis throughout the week. So by hitting it twice, we're getting that double stimulus. By cutting the per workout volume in half over the course of 2 workouts throughout the week, we're able to push to a higher intensity and reduce that fatigue, as you had mentioned. So 2 would be great. 3 isn't really necessary. But yeah, that's what we're looking at. Listen, if you're tired of the all or nothing cycles, the diet starts Monday, the I know what to do, I'm just not doing it feeling, we should probably talk. Our one-on-one online coaching isn't just about workouts and meal plans. It's about building something that actually fits your life. No cookie cutter templates, no guilt, just real coaching and real results. Plus, we've got a pretty big team, so we can even pair you with an expert who actually understands your lifestyle because they've gone through it too. If that sounds like what you've been missing, check out the link in the show notes to apply for coaching. Then we'll send you the link to book a free, no obligation consult call with our team. There are no hard closes. We won't even take your credit card over the phone. You'll get the details to sign up on your own time. And more good news, we are in fact qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. One last thing, we even offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. What are you waiting for? Spots are limited, so apply today. All right, let's get back to the show.
Megan said, I'm curious about how quickly creatine should be consumed once mixed with water. I heard on another podcast that it isn't water soluble, so it breaks down quickly and becomes less effective the longer it's in water. Is this true? Is this something to be concerned about? It's hard enough to remember to take it, but do I need to set a timer now too? Thank you for everything.
So one of you changed my mind on this because I was in the same, like growing up, it was always within 10 minutes. Like you can't put it in a water bottle and sip it. Like you got to chug it within 10 minutes or it turns into creatine. That's what I was taught growing up. And then one of you told me something or showed me something that said, no, it's fine for a while.
Yeah, this is not the thing that I would be stressing about personally. This is where I'm like, we're overcomplicating things. From what I understand, creatine is stable in water for like 1 to 2 hours and even longer if it's kept cold, I believe. But I don't think many people are like.
That's the thing. Like, what if you're taking it, just take it, right?
Are we putting creatine in water and then like carrying it around for the next 8 hours and not drinking it? Like, I can't think of a use case in which that's, I guess maybe if someone makes like a shake, like Brant preps a smoothie. Yeah. Like Brant the smoothie at night to bring to work with him the next day. Like if creatine was in that, would it not be absorbed the right way? I wouldn't worry about it, to be honest.
I wouldn't stress about
Mix it fresh-ish when possible, but I would not like worry about it sitting for 15 or 30 minutes. Maybe avoid leaving it in like a hot car. And if you do like to prep ahead, maybe just like keep the dry powder separate and then like mix your creatine in that like smoothie situation. Mix it in when you're going to drink it. But I would say in general, probably not the thing you need to stress very much about.
Preach. All right, our girl Lixie with the last question here. She said, not sure if this was ever addressed, but I was noted to have a slight increase in my renal function blood work. It was revealed that due to my high protein diet, my kidney is dehydrated, but I also take creatine. I stopped creatine because I was nervous, but also read it's good to take. Information overload. Just would like some input/thoughts.
That is a tough one because creatine shouldn't technically have a big effect. But if you have issues with your kidneys already, it could potentially be a factor. So I think the only way you're really going to get a solidified answer is to retest say a month off of creatine, see if anything changes. No?
I've had this conversation with my dad because he has had like blood work done before and was also like, oh my gosh, my creatinine levels are high. Like maybe the creatine is damaging my kidneys. So a few things here. Creatine and protein do not harm healthy kidneys, first and foremost. Creatine can slightly raise your serum creatinine levels, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's harming your kidneys. Creatinine is basically a byproduct of creatine metabolism. So higher levels of creatinine are expected when you're supplementing creatine. It doesn't actually reflect kidney damage. And then similarly with protein, like a high protein diet, I feel like has been unfairly blamed for kidney issues. But research has shown over and over again that people with healthy kidneys, that high protein intake does not cause kidney damage. And that myth likely kind of comes from confusion about recommendations for people who already do have pre-existing like kidney issues or kidney disease. So kind of similarly to what you already stated, the most common reason that we might see a slight increase in renal markers like creatinine could be creatine supplementation or dehydration. So if we are slightly dehydrated, the concentration of like waste products in our blood goes up. So it can make it look like your kidneys are not filtering well, even though they're functioning just fine. The other thing to keep in mind is that exercise can temporarily elevate creatinine due to increased muscle breakdown, especially after strength training. So I'd also be curious when you did this blood work, if you trained that day, if you were supplementing creatine at the time. So those are all things to keep in mind. I know the other thing that you could also ask for is a cystatin C test, which would be a more specific marker of kidney function, also like an albumin to creatinine ratio. So both of those would be better tests for kidney markers and kidney function in active individuals who are strength training and potentially supplementing with creatine.
Sweet. Well, that concludes our Q&A day, guys.
Did you guys like the more rapid fire style? We wanted to make it a little less fluff, a little more concise to kind of cruise through each person's question. So let us know if you're on Spotify or on YouTube. You can actually comment on either of those platforms. If you disliked it, do not leave it in a review. We're just asking a question. Did you like it this way? Did you not like it? The mean stuff, send it to us personally. The good stuff, leave us that quick 5-star review. We do have that 3-episode rule. If you've listened beyond those 3 episodes, leave us a quick 5-star. Write a comment in there if you would like. To tag us on social media, start the conversation there. Keep the not nice stuff to yourself or send it to us privately. We take the constructive criticism. We don't need to share that with the world. Our goal here is to reach a broader audience, and that starts with you guys. You are the Fitness League. So that's how this grows. As you guys share it, we continue to provide this as a free resource for those who aren't working with coaching or in the app or anything like that. We do this for you. The current number of reviews do not equate to the number of listeners we have on each episode. We're getting there. We're trending in the right direction. It's growing. You guys are sharing it. We appreciate you. We love
Got
you.
a bunch of freeloaders.
People get mad at me when I joke around like that, Joelle. We got a negative review that I ask for this too often, and I'm too pushy.
That's absurd.
Pay your damn dues, folks.
We
love
literally
you.
spend hours recording, researching, editing to put out a free resource for y'all.
free.
So if you complain that we're asking you to leave a review that literally takes a friggin' millisecond to stick
And
5
we don't
stars
have
in
ads. We don't have annoying ads on our podcast.
just
We're not
Josh.
sponsored.
Just me
Just
talking about our
Josh.
stuff.
Just Josh ads on our own company. Does that count?
Just a reminder of what we do, and when you're ready, or if you're not, whatever, it's out there. But yeah, we appreciate you guys for leaving the reviews. If you have not already, we ask ever so kindly that as soon as this is over, you just click the show, tap the 5 stars right next to the icon there, and carry on with your day. Where can they find you?
I'm at Alessandra Skutnik.
Joelle Samantha.
At Josh Skutnik.
And everything else you need is linked in the show notes.